Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for your great support to this channel. I don't take it for granted. Now, Kenya have become one of the closest allies during President Ruto's US visitation. And right now, Ruto is now facing the East as China is as well competing with the United States of America on their close relationship with Kenya and also Africa as well. What I know is that the West and the East are now finding route on how they can convince the African leaders, listen to them, and do whatever they want. And according to whatever is now taking place, we are having war across the Africa continent, and also places like Gaza, places like all across the world, like Sudan, like Somalia. So, on an interview which was done by the former Citizen news reporter, that is Wahiga Mwaura, asked President Ruto a simple question on his visitation to Korea and also to United States of America, and what is his aim and how is he going to handle this situation, because all these leaders are now having political interest on him. So he was asked a simple question on war happening in Africa and how is he going to handle these political differences emerging in African head of state between him. As if that is not enough, one thing that I know is that United States of America are very close with President Ruto and is having some secret hiding in him. That is whatever I can say. Now, the great advice I can give to my brother here in the Republic of Kenya before I display that video or that clip is that political power is transient. Do good to people or do good while it lasts. That is whatever I can say. Meanwhile, let's take a look and listen to Wahiga Mwaura on this interview questioning President Ruto.
You've been invited to attend another summit after this one. I think they're calling it the Russia-Ukraine summit in Europe. What role do you see yourself playing in such a summit should you choose to attend it?
We as a continent have suffered a toll on the war in Europe. For example, in Kenya, if I give you an example of Kenya, we had our fertilizer delayed by close to 2 months. In fact, we almost missed the planting season because the whole war has occasioned 1, increase in commodity prices, 2, increase in fertilizer prices, 3, delay in supply of those fertilizers. This war in Europe needs to stop.
The conflict in Ukraine has received large amounts of funding as compared to the conflicts closer home in Sudan and in the Democratic Republic of Congo. How can, together with your role and other heads of state, play a role to direct the world's attention that as they focus on the conflicts in Gaza and the conflict in Ukraine, that Sudan is still at war a year later and the conflict in Eastern DRC continues to rage on, President Ruto?
It was a candid conversation I had, for example, with President Biden. And I was very categorical that it doesn't look fair that the war in Ukraine is receiving attention, the war in Gaza is receiving attention, while the serious situation in Somalia, in DRC, in Sudan is not receiving attention. On Sudan, we agreed that there is need to be a jumpstart of all the initiatives that have been in place. We have the IGAD initiative, we have the Jeddah initiative, we have an initiative that is being run by around Egypt. We have those who are in Nairobi to sign a peace agreement between the various civilian groups. And we agreed that we need to consolidate these groups between us and the American group are going to sit down to map out how this can happen. And I will be traveling shortly to Egypt so that we can harmonize our plans and our positions and provide a way forward. We also agreed that in the DRC, we need to see how to jumpstart the dialogue process, because there cannot be a military solution in the DRC. We need an engagement between the groups there.
One thing that I'm now understanding, and people were saying it, but I took it for granted. I took it as not a serious issue, about how Ruto is influencing the West and the East leaders. There's some political ambition that President Ruto is having and he wants to gain in Africa as well. Now, there is a Korea drama here. You see on that clip, Wahiga Mwaura is on Ruto's neck, asking him as he begin. Now he is facing Korea. A few days ago, he was in United States of America. Then he have been asked, what is your main impact of this visitation? You are visiting to the East and the West. Yet, Africans, we are still having war crisis. And these people are not bringing any changes. You are the one who is having interest, even deploying your police officers. Yet we have superpower countries like United States of America, China, and Russians, and so on and so on. They're ready and they can bring their people and assist the war carrying on in China, in Africa, sorry. For instance, the Ukraine war. We deployed our police officers, if I'm not wrong. So, Joe Biden great impact with Ruto, the first one, was to make an agreement on United States of America not to allow their police officers to be deployed, but Kenya to allow their police officers to be deployed. That is their first agreement, which they agree. Wahiga Mwaura is asking Ruto this question, and Ruto is now failing to answer on BBC News report. But there is tension rising up here about Ruto's visitation, and therefore I can say there's ugly fallout between Wahiga Mwaura and President Ruto when he was asked those questions which I've just said. Number one, I want to begin by saying that our president is heading into a wrong direction. I don't know who is convincing him. I would advise it, he would have rather concentrate on Kenyans' welfare and leave about external politics region, which is now currently doing. I asked you some days back, have you ever had even Uganda behaving as our country? Let us just speak the truth. What about Sudan? Sudan, and yet they are having war. What about South Africa? What about Rwanda? In fact, Rwanda is against all this, whatever Ruto is doing. So, what is it which will be done for us to stop this hot crisis looming in our country? Number one, our president must now settle in mind and forget about that it's no longer campaigning but working in the people, to the people of Kenya. Forgetting in mind, it should have some great impact with our neighboring leaders first in Africa, and have a target on how to establish this economy, which is now thwarting millions of Kenyans. That is the first and essential thing that he must do, or else it's going to take our country into wrong direction. I can't explain it further on Wahiga Mwaura exposing Ruto again at BBC. Remember, this is not the first time BBC is exposing Ruto. This is not the first time our news or journalists are exposing the president. So there is lack of respect is being shown by the journalist, because the journalists have realized that he is lying a lot. He cannot dwell in one place, he cannot settle, but just to up and down movement. So he is being targeted, and one day he might be embarrassed publicly. So bad. This is just little, and this is just the beginning. So the advice is for you. Make a great choice. That is whatever I can say. Ladies and gentlemen, what can you say on this BBC exposing our president on Wahiga Mwaura side? Kindly, before I conclude, just a quick reminder, take a 1 second and click the notification bell and subscribe to our channel. And to the members, I want to say thank you for your great support, and continue with the same spirit, and bye bye, as we hope to meet on another political discussion. Don't forget to like this video.